Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show, sponsored by Indigo Communications. We are delighted you could join us on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you enjoy our content, hit the subscribe button and the bell as well, and you'll get all the unique video content that we have going up on a regular basis. Lots of one-to-ones on the way and some specials, and of course we've got a competition running at the moment, a chance for you to join us for a few football stories at Social Recluse. We've teamed up with the clothes shop. It's got a bit of memorabilia in there, music and football, Ruffy, and we're looking forward to going there on the 10th of February.
Yeah, we've been in there before, a wee while ago, and lots of good stuff in there. It was very busy, and I'm sure anybody that goes along that night will see some interesting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give you a goodie bag away with you if you are one of our competition winners. And the good news is, with Ruffy wearing his Maestro top, they have also got our merchandise in there. So there's legends, t-shirts, canvas, prints, big posters, framed ones at that as well, and of course not forgetting the Maestro training top. So you can get all that for the month of February in Social Recluse's shop. We've got lots to talk about, including of course small matter of Celtic versus Rangers. We will indeed be looking back at what happened last night in the Scottish Premiership, which Charlie will be able to talk about, his beloved Dundee. A couple of other burning issues that we want to obviously address because it's ongoing in Scottish football, and you know, it's a hot topic and one that has stoked the fire of opinion on David Goodwillie's move to Raith Rovers. Certainly there's been a backlash to the signing from not only the fans but directors, people who sponsor the club as well. This is a statement that came out from Raith Rovers regarding the issue of signing him. David is a proven goal scorer, and this will be his second stint with the club, having previously played for us on loan from Dundee United in season 2007-2008. As with all new signings, the club has carefully considered our position as a community club, and we completely respect the differing views among fans and stakeholders, many of whom we have spoken to directly in the past 24 hours and are continuing to engage with. As David has previously played for Raith Rovers earlier in his career, we consider him to be part of Raith Rovers Football Club. The management team is familiar with David's career and background, and in particular his footballing ability. That is our foremost consideration, and we believe that he will strengthen the Raith Rovers playing squad. So that was the first part of it, and then he go on to say, please be assured that as a community football club, we fully acknowledge this signing has divided opinion amongst our loyal fans and commercial stakeholders. We aim to rebuild that trust. While acknowledging the gravity of what happened 10 years ago, as a club we fully support and encourage rehabilitation, and many factors influenced our signing. First and foremost, this was a football-related decision. Well, that came out late last night, and I think it increased the consternation around this story because, of course, Val McDermott has withdrawn her sponsorship over the club, signing David Goodwillie. And off the back of that, I think a lot of people are really unhappy. Aileen Campbell, Chief Executive of Scottish Women's Football, said it was badly misjudged and could have a wider impact, devastating consequences for women's football in Scotland. And would you believe it, the First Minister has also weighed in on this one to say football players are role models, and football clubs have a responsibility to make sure they're positive role models for the wee boys and wee girls who look up to them. This is a player who was found in a civil court, albeit on the balance of probabilities, to have raped a woman, and as far as I'm aware, hasn't shown any remorse or reflection for that. I think Raith Rovers really do have to reflect on the message that sends. What they effectively seemed to be saying was that it didn't matter how a man behaved towards a woman, the only thing that mattered to them was whether he could score goals for the football club. That really illustrates the distance we've got to go as a society if our rhetoric about zero tolerance of sexual violence against women, is to be a reality. Well, it's a difficult topic to deal with, and there are a number of issues which are for and against in this situation, and not many people would think there's anything to debate for David Goodwillie other than does he deserve a future because of his past? And that throws up another dilemma, Ruffy, which is quite simply, if he is deemed to be a player that shouldn't be playing football, why was there not the same consternation when he was playing for Clyde?
Yeah, each individual club has to make a decision on that. Raith Rovers have made the decision that they're quite happy to let it go, but I think you've got to take everything into consideration. You know, at any particular club or individual. You're asking me obviously at Partick Thistle. You know, Partick Thistle, we would have dealt with internally and obviously looked at the avenues of who you were going to upset and what it brings to the club. Does it disrupt the club and anything they're doing? And then you would come to a decision. Our decision would we wouldn't have signed them. You know, that's just the policy at the club. Because I think our supporters, the majority of supporters, would have been against it. You know, our women's football team would have been against it. And why bring that kind of pressure on yourself? It's unfortunate for the player. There's no doubt about that. But we look at the two instances down in England just now and how they're being dealt with. You know, and they've just cleaned out a sponsorship of both the players. So a lot of people treat it a lot more serious than others. But I think if you're making a decision, it's got to be the decision that unites the club.
Yeah, I can, at this moment, if it was a football decision, and John McGlynn has obviously had to relay that to the board that he was interested in signing him, because the buck stops with the manager. He's clearly said he wanted to sign this player. He knows him, he's worked with him before, and he reckons he will give Wraith Rovers a chance of scoring more goals. As a footballing decision, it's a no-brainer. I still am stuck on the point here. I thought they made a bad decision to sign him, because it goes against the grain of, you know, as many people have mentioned there, respect for women. But he's still playing, and this is the thing that's sticking with me. He's still playing at Clyde. So why are they not, you know, battering down the doors at Clyde when he was playing? Is he not allowed to move? Is he not allowed to continue playing anywhere else? He can sit there at Clyde. There is a bit of, there's double standards here on this one.
Yeah, and Clyde as a football club have obviously made that decision 3 years ago whenever he signed there, that they would happily allow him into the football club. Wraith had a little bit of a situation in the summer where they were going to go for him in the summer, and you know, this situation arose quite quickly during the transfer window, and they seem to have gone against it. But to then revisit it again in January, and it's probably been, you know, blown even further you know, out in the wilderness for everybody to see again. So listen, it's a tough decision. John's obviously thinking the footballing decision, is he better than what we have? Yes. But then there's obviously the other side of the game for Wraith Rovers as a football club, and it's not what they want to be in the media for, because it's a good club. You know, it's well supported. We played well. We played them in the playoffs last season, and it's a good club. So yeah, listen, it's a decision that they've obviously made, and you know, John will have to try and speak to the board and see where they go from here. But yeah, on a footballing matter, you know, he obviously thinks it's going to be better than what they have, and you know, the rest of it that comes with it is going to be difficult to knock away.
It's going to be difficult to backtrack on this now, Tam. That's the problem. They've made the move. Two directors have decided to come off the board. Once you've made that move and you take that stance and you know the flack that's coming, and now when you've got the First Minister involved in the whole situation, you know, if you do the U-turn, you know, first of all, regardless of anybody's feelings on it, David Goodwillie will be compensated, but it still leaves him with a situation where he's been allowed to play football up until now. So what happens now if he's left out in the wilderness?
Listen, it's a difficult one to speak about, but the thing is with Wraith Rovers, they've paid a fee for him, and they've gave him, I think they gave him a 2.5-year contract. So they're looking at the long term, you know. And John, I think Wraith Rovers have totally underestimated the fallout for this. I think they've, as Charlie said, they've went for a football decision, as it said in their statement, but they've totally underestimated the feeling amongst people about David Goodwillie. And I totally get what you're saying about he's obviously played for Clyde, but I think now just it's with the whole social media coming into it, social media has blown up since Goodwillie was last at Clyde. I think 3 or 4 years ago he signed. And there's a lot of people, there's a lot of big figures at Wraith Rovers have come out and pulled out their support. I think there was just over 1,000 people at the game last night, but their crowds are down, so they've got a big decision to make, Wraith Rovers now. Do they stick with this? Do they try and take the flak and hope it dies down? Or do they go, listen, to David Goodwillie, we'll need to pay your contract up, but it's not going to work out here. And that leaves that guy in the wilderness as well. So it's a really, really difficult situation, I think, for the club and the player, and I don't think they've thought it through properly, as Ruffy said. They've tried to get him in the summer, but they're in the playoffs at the minute. They're thinking he could get us into the Premier League. But a lot of Wraith Rovers supporters are saying that they'd rather they weren't in the Premier League, you know, if Goodwillie was still there. So there's a lot of real strong feeling about this, and It'll be interesting to see where it goes for here.
Yeah, just as a footnote to it, quite a number of people have mentioned the fact of rehabilitation, Ruffy. I don't know if I don't know if anybody is even willing to address that situation, and also the fact that there are two or three things that remind me of what Gordon Strachan said. Don't hold footballers up as role models. But they are in the public eye. They do have to at times try and live to a standard that's above normal Joe public. The rehabilitation one is another one where I don't think people are even contemplating accepting any rehabilitation. And if that is the case, and nobody wants to discuss that either, and I'm merely offering balance on this, if he is to finish his career, if he plays at Wraith Rovers or has to go somewhere else, if it's not acceptable to people now because of what he's done before, where does he go? Is he allowed to earn a living out with football as long as he's not in the public eye?
Yeah, it's a very, very difficult decision to make. That I'm sure there are a lot of people out there will say everybody deserves a second chance, but there's one word there that somebody's used: he has shown no remorse on what he done. Now, I don't know whether that's right or wrong. And when anything like this happens, it's a different field for that. I'm going to mention Malky Mackay here, and we know Malky right from the very start of what happened with him. He showed utter remorse on everything he'd done. He went through all the proper channels.
Yeah, but
I know it's different. It's different.
I just want to clarify something. Just because of the legality of certain things, it wasn't in a criminal court because it has to be beyond reasonable doubt. There has to be enough evidence to convict them. So they didn't get it to a criminal court. This was a civil case. So in any way, I would think legal representation. I'm just second guessing to show remorse for something is, some people would view as an admission of guilt. I don't know whether that's a stickler for it, but it's certainly something that springs to my mind.
I don't know whether he has or he hasn't. Why I'm mentioning Malky is we know what Malky did to resurrect his career. He went through all the proper channels and let everybody know what he was doing, that he had done wrong, and this is what he was doing. So, he's redeemed himself up in Ross County, but I don't know the ins and outs of this whole thing. All I'm saying is it's a very, very difficult one for the guy himself.
I think another one could be, looking at that, and that's totally different, but David Martindale again is another one who went to prison, and served time and came out, showed remorse, and different things, and done all the courses to try and get himself back into.
I think we're talking about three separate,
totally different
situations here.
You're right, Charlie. And if I could offer the final point on it, because I think it's one that could go round in circles in it, and it's going to either gather pace, or Wraith Rovers are going to dig in and take the fallout and take the financial hit as well. But if I could offer just one final thought on it, which I think is paramount to me on this programme, to offer as much balance as we possibly can for everyone in this whole situation, because you have to discuss it. It's come up in football. Is I have great sympathy for the girl who had to suffer this as well. Whether it's even more painful, because the argument is he's in the public eye. He may well be even more to the forefront because Wraith Rovers are far more high profile than Clyde. I have great sympathy for the girl who went through the initial trauma and all the pain and hurt that causes as well. And I think, somewhere down the line, you must have great sympathy. No girl, no woman should be subjected to anything that has come out in this story. But thankfully for us, we're not judge and jury on this situation. We've merely offered as many points that have come out on this David Goodwillie story. Where Wraith Rovers go with it, do they backtrack, do they perform a U-turn? Only time will tell, but certainly even with the women's team now trying to distance themselves from Wraith Rovers as a football club, it's telling you exactly how strongly a lot of women feel about this message that it sends out by signing the player. Anyway, it's never too far away from talking about things off the field in Scottish football. It always has lots of things that get us interested and keep us talking. One of them is the fact that Lee Griffiths, we thought that his performances at Dundee wouldn't merit him staying on beyond January. That's us personally, not you, Charlie. It hasn't quite worked out. He's now a free agent, and now he has to find a club. There's talk of even Queen's Park maybe be interested.
Yeah, listen, it was only the news only broke when I was obviously coming in today to do the show, and he was around the club last night, but they've obviously not been able to come to an agreement and a contract at the end of the season, which I think is a blow for for us, but also for the player as well. I need to know what situation his head's at now, where, footballing decision and footballing wise, where's he's going to go. I heard in the last 3 or 4 days about Queen's Park, and we know that they have got a bit of money to be able to get somebody like Lee Griffiths in the door. It's just, if Lee Griffiths has the ambition to go and want to go and play in League One, that will the only be reason it could happen. But they've got Willie Hockey there who can fund that. But he's 31 years of age, terrific goal scorer. In the last, after the break started to show signs of a bit of Lee Griffiths that we know can finish a goal. Probably had a chance last week that if he was sharp and that he would have scored against St Johnstone, but it's come to a football decision that he's not been able to agree something, and we move on from it now because of we're in a situation where we have to start winning football matches.
And isn't it ironic, Ruffy, that this is a player who still had a contract at Celtic before he went to Dundee, and tonight of all nights, Celtic Rangers, he's what, is he 30, 31? 31 years of age. He should still have been playing in a game of this stature. But this is a long, slippery slope, and it's not the first of a player who wastes his talent, whatever his private life is off the pitch, it is clearly affecting what he does on the pitch.
Yeah, I don't know him as an individual. I haven't met him that often, but I keep saying, as a professional footballer, there has to be a time when things aren't going right for you. You've got to have that light bulb and say, look, I need to get my head down and I need to sort myself out. And there was a moment during the Euros, I don't know what game it was, Scotland versus somebody, and he was sitting in the crowd. He was sitting in the crowd watching the game, and it was only about a year ago he was the hero against England, with these goals. And you would think,
Ruffy, that was 3 years ago.
Yeah, well, okay.
No, I'm just saying, time is flying, isn't it? Before years.
Yeah, but even time, if you're sitting there, they're the things that go through your mind, I used to be out in that park. I scored 2 goals on that, and then you've got to say to yourself, I need to get my head down here. I need to show people and what I've got, and he's just not been able to do that. I mean, Charlie was saying when he was up there and he was training well, and it just wasn't happening for him. That could be a confidence thing or whatever. But whatever team he goes to, he'll score goals. As Charlie said, it's at what level?
You mentioned it's a confidence thing. A lot of people were saying it's a weight thing.
Listen, I don't think he's as sharp or in as good condition as he was 5-6 years ago. I don't think that's you can talk about that, but I think it's up to him. It's his ambition. What is his ambition now? It's his ambition to just go and pick up money and play in League One or the Championship, or an opportunity to go to Dundee. A club who he's done well for in the past, a club who had opportunity to try and keep in the division and still play in the top flight of Scottish football, and they've not came to a decision with his contract. So, it's all about him. What does he want to do? Does he want his career to kind of waste away over the next couple of years and play down the leagues, or does he want to play at the highest possible level that he can and forget about money and try and get his career back at the top level? And that would have been probably staying at Dundee, but he's out of contract, so there's no to say that a St Johnstone or a St Mirren or somebody like that might come in for him. He's a free agent, and they might take a punt on him, but I think you'll find it difficult to get a better club in Dundee, to be honest. Okay,
good results for Motherwell. They got a late equaliser against St Mirren last night, but financially, Ruffy, sold David Turnbull, got 3.575 million for him, and of course the deal itself has allowed Motherwell up until I think the 31st of May of last year to post strong financial results. And of course this is a club that not only produce strong financial results, they've got 4 million in the bank despite the challenges of COVID-19, and were able to offer their season ticket holders a free season ticket. Yeah. Right, talk about great PR. This club has it in bags full.
Yeah, they've been doing it before Turnbull transfer. That's a really, really well-run club. I think the people out there just now remember the time when they just went overboard and nearly bankrupted the place. We're bringing everybody in. So they've learnt the lesson. They've been very lucky that year on year they bring 2 or 3 young players through for their academy, and they slot right into the first team. So no, everything they do at Motherwell, obviously, Boy Burrows there has been there a wee while now, and he stamps his authority in everything they do. Even PR stuff as well, they're always first to do the right thing. So no, it's that obviously 3.2 million helps you along the road, but they seem to not be splashing the cash. They're just cheap what's there.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair play to Motherwell. Okay, we have got our predictions coming up for Celtic Rangers. What do you think? Who's going to win? Who's going to be the key player in the match between Celtic and Rangers tonight? Will the referee be at the forefront of it all? Let's hope not over the 90 minutes. And it's going to be bouncing at Celtic Park. Maybe not with a nice split of away supporters, but we'll give you our insight into that shortly. But first and foremost, let's quickly look back at some of the games from last night. Tam, Hibs 0, Hearts 0. You were quite happy with the standard of it.
I don't think I was particularly happy with the standard of it, but I think it was a decent game. You know, there was excitement in it. There was incidents to speak about. Yeah. First and foremost, I thought Hibs got very lucky with the 2 penalty decisions. You know, early doors, Stevenson should be off and it should be a penalty kick, and that is a big decision that the referee missed, thankfully from a Hibs point of view. And then second half, free kick, I think he comes out, I think it's a handball. If there was VAR involved, his body's in a natural position and he blocks it, so that would have been a penalty as well. But I think overall a draw was a fair result. I thought Hibs started the game really well. They got the fans on side, and it's the first time I've really felt that real united support behind Sean Maloney last night. You know, there was a real, you know, the fans got behind the team. It helped the team. You know, I've seen this morning, Sean's speaking about it, Gary Caldwell speaking about it, the players speaking about it, how good the atmosphere was. And the Hibs supporters need to try and get that every single week at Easter Road to help the players. But no, I thought it was a good game, and a draw was a fair result. I thought Hearts were strong defensively, but I thought Hibs matched them. Yeah, Sean Maloney well happy with the commitment from his side.
The overall performance, how we showed something tonight that maybe we haven't under me, is like that real sort of fight and desire. Look, I love certain tactical ideas and everything like that, but what I saw tonight I loved as well. I loved competing, I loved what my players showed me, a real desire not to lose, and then to try and win the game. So yeah, no, I absolutely loved tonight's performance.
Yeah, so he's well happy with it. Obviously there are some players who will take to him, and some players who might just be grinding a little. He's got to get his own players in that he wants to play his style of football. Yeah,
we certainly brought in enough. Tom, is it nine players or something like that? You know, so he needs to find very, very quickly his best 11. You know, he can't keep chopping and changing. So the sooner he does that, and the sooner they start winning games, because Tom will tell you, if Hibs start winning games and going on a run, the support's there. You're talking 17,000, 18,000. But with Hearts so far in front of them, you know, they're always a wee bit apprehensive of how far away we're going to be challenging them or what. So he really needs to start winning games.
Yeah. Just a quick footnote. You mentioned how well they played. Dabrowski, I mean, he was absolutely superb as a goalie.
Brilliant. I'm delighted for him. I think he's waited a long time. I think he said last night he's been on the bench 40 times or something and never got on. Yeah. He played in pre-season against Arsenal, looked good, but I like to see a young guy like that come in, take his opportunity. He sounded very grateful after the game as well. It was a good interview. So, listen, I think Big Macy will have a job in his hands getting back in now. Yeah,
more often than not, I think it's an easy target to say, referees, assistant referees. We offer our tuppence worth on it. We're not going to shirk responsibility. Don Robertson certainly didn't please the Hearts manager, Robbie Neilson, with decisions that he missed.
Movement of the ball, movement of the players, it's a penalty kick. For some reason, he doesn't see it. I think I've said enough previously about these certain ones, you know, and a referee that sent me off at Ibrox, you know, so it could have happened again today if I didn't keep my mouth shut. We've had, you know, Auchinleck, terrible decisions. We go to Celtic offside decisions, then we come here tonight and we get those two.
I can understand why he's getting more and more angry about these situations. Kyogo at Celtic Park, offside, and of course Don Robertson made 2 glaring errors in last night's game, Charlie, for me.
Yeah, and it's these big games, small details can make a difference. And, you know, listen, I never say I watched a little bit of the highlights, and the 2 incidents were there to be seen. And, you know, obviously Hearts then go away from Easter Road with 3 points and delighted, you know, confirms their place in 3rd place. But it is hard, but you know they've got a hard job, referees. I thought, you know, we had John Beaton last night, who had a good game, and you know refereed the game, seen the things how it was, and yeah, listen, sometimes they make good decisions, and sometimes they make poor decisions, but you can't keep relying on referees. You've got to do your own business, and if you perform well enough, then you take the referee away from it.
Yeah, okay, I'll put it to you. I understand where Charlie's coming from in this situation, because the last thing we want to do is get Charlie a fine. Fortunately for you, Ruffy, you can't go back up to the SFA. They won't be able to fine you. Don Robertson had an absolute shocker, cost Hearts a point.
Well, the two incidents you're talking about, I agree 100%. You know, it was a sending off and a penalty. The second one, you know, he might get away with it because it was so close and everybody was charging it.
Yeah.
It did hit him in the arm. There's no doubt about it. But
and the referee was watching it.
exactly,
He was about 2 yards away from the free kick.
and he's got to make a decision. Where did it hit? And he never again. I don't think the linesman could have helped him in that one. He's the one that's got to make the decision. But it was the wrong decision.
Yeah. Okay. Charlie, Dundee United. Did you deserve a win?
There wasn't much in it. Yeah, I think in the end we probably should have won the game, but United had a great chance at the end with Clark, and the big Sweeney just stuck his head out of nowhere and put it over the bar. So, no, first half we played well enough to be ahead, but like Tam said, the opposite. I think there was poor quality in the game at times, and you know, there's a bit of edginess in the match. It's a derby. You know, we need to try and find a result from somewhere, and you know, United knew that they were coming in for a tough game, but it's a point, and we look forward to another big game at Saturday at home to Ross County.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, I know a lot of people look to you on this programme to determine how much a player's worth in the transfer value.
Yeah.
A lot of people are now hanging on Tam's words on games. Your derby, he gave it 9.5 out of 10. Thought it was a great derby. Brilliant football, good skill, technical ability. I mean, I preferred your game to their game, because their game I was waiting on the ball, getting a flight path and a number.
Oh, was it that bad, was it?
I don't think it was.
Yeah.
Well.
It's certainly his game has the tackle of the year with the boy's Sweeney's head.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Is he all there, that boy? Is he quite happy to shove his
Tackle over the
feet?
head, yeah.
A big man likes to hit. He'd rather pass it with his head than his foot. No, he's.
And you'd one of your
the
trademark
reaction
crosses.
to
What
stick
about,
your head.
what about your free kick, Charlie? I mean, honestly, Tam, you would have leathered that in from a yard out.
You can only stick it in the right area, Thomas.
Yeah.
The text message I got last night was, does he want a napkin with that knife and fork? Put it on a plate for him.
Yeah, did you give him pelters? I mean, he's a yard out, and the United player gets in front of
He
him.
just misses the flight of it, he said. He says it was on my toe, and then obviously it goes in, and it's good clearance from a defender in the end. But no, it was good. That was my first derby, and I loved the occasion. You know, got a bit of stick, but it was all friendly, and it was good to get him at back as well. So
Yeah.
it's you know, it's a point. And you know, it's another clean sheet for us, and we look forward to, like I say, we play Ross County at home Saturday. It's a must-win, I think, for us.
I love you mentioned that fact there. I mean, did you got a bit of stick?
Yeah.
You're old in the tooth. You can take it.
Oh, I can take it, but I gave it back as well.
Yeah.
I cussed my ear to them and that,
Yeah.
and give them it. But no, it's part and parcel. You've got to have a bit of enjoyment. You've got to, you know, show that emotion. If you don't go over the edge, it's okay.
Absolutely.
But whoever threw the 2 pence at me, I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could say.
No,
What was
absolutely.
a £1 coin like?
It was the £2 coin. It was a 2 pence they threw at me as well.
Yeah.
But no,
it is. I was just about to say.
If it was Edinburgh, with a pound on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, listen, it was my first derby. It was a great atmosphere, and
A fiver rolled up at Easter.
but no, it was good. It was good game.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant, Charlie. By the way, and again, because of the nature of the show, it's not good to throw money at players. It reminds me of, you know, that game, the Old Firm game, the famed Old Firm game where Hugh Dallas was struck by a coin. We're not making light of it, because I know there are some people who actually watch football programmes to be professionally offended. So, Charlie, I'm glad it didn't hit you, son. No. It's as simple as that. If Ruffy had thrown any coins, it would have had an elastic on it to bring it back.
We see the thing we're talking about at the beginning. I know it was a pretty average game. We're not talking it was great, but both sets of supporters made it a good game, I thought. You know, with the both
banter.
fans, the
Oh, the
banter,
atmosphere, yeah,
and the
and
atmosphere.
that's
And
what I
people
like.
should learn that this is what happens when you allow both sets of fans into a stadium.
Oh, suddenly you're jumping on the bandwagon, eh?
No, I've never.
I've been leathering them for the last 3
Yes, I
weeks,
know
and you've
you
been
have.
whimpering in the corner.
No, I haven't disagreed with you. I haven't disagreed
You just
with you.
haven't stood up and said, by the way,
but
you're bang out
it's
of
not
order.
up to you. No, I'm saying you're not bang out of
No, I'm
order.
saying they're bang out of order.
Oh,
They've
they have
ruined
said
the Old
that.
Firm
Partick
game.
Thistle fans would never throw it in Minton, no.
Eh?
No, at all.
They would throw. What would they throw? If Partick Thistle fans
What's
were
the
throwing
worst thing
something,
you've had thrown at you? Coin.
A coin's bad. A coin's bad. That's stupid.
We played Spain in Seville. In the first half of the game, there was 50 oranges on the ground in the 18-yard box. 50.
Is that right? What are you on about?
Scalp in the back of your
Luis
knee.
Figo had a pig's head thrown
saw
at him in a derby. And of course, I was at a derby in Milan where they threw a Vespa off the top of the the stadium. How they got the Vespa in the first place escapes me. I don't know how you get a Vespa into a stadium.
I'm trying to think that we would throw it Partick Thistle. It would be like quinoa sushi or something.
Vogue magazine.
With it, something West End.
The Herald. Anyway, apart from anything else, glad you weren't injured, Charlie. St Mirren 1, Motherwell 1. Gogic, nice for the big lad to get a goal. More often than not in this programme we're going, was Gogic really a yellow card?
But you know, I think right up until the end he thought it was going to be the headline. Your first game, headline, header, winning goal, and then the fullback, you know, was a complete
gives it.
And I keep saying that Jim Goodwin's reaction at the side, he just
it?
folded. He just went. This just sums up.
There also was a wee thing that just stuck in my head. Fans running onto the pitch, could have been a wee bit of aggro between the Saints fans and the Motherwell fans. You know, that's the last thing we want to see creeping into the game. I know sometimes people jump up and down, mainly at Dingwall, when there's a late winner.
Ross County Ultras.
Yes, absolutely. Average age 13 and a half. But the last thing we want to see is suddenly it just escalates to people thinking it's the norm going onto the pitch, and then you get a fight situation, which we don't want to see. Before we talk about the Old Firm and our predictions, fair play, Charlie. St Johnstone, 13 games, 1 win in 13. What a win that was for them, and Ali Crawford popped up.
Yeah, it's, you know, bouncing back, it's taken a while. Callum's obviously now being able to get the right players that he wanted in, and you know, never give up, because you can see the quality Ali Crawford's got. You know, obviously they win it in the end, and it gets them off the foot of the table. So they'll take good confidence from that, because let's say Livingston's a tough place to go, and you know, they'll be looking to try and make a step in the right direction again at the weekend. I think you've got United at home, so they've got to take confidence from that win. But no, it's there's nothing better, like I say, than a last-minute winner. Yeah, absolutely. Your mate Stephen Glass, Tam, I know you like the odd bet, you know, maybe £1 here or there, spread betting the lot, but you wouldn't be putting too much money on Aberdeen, would you? I mean, they go a goal up and then they're pegged back by a Ross County side that have shown a bit of form of late.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't put any money on them away from home. I think at Pittodrie they've been pretty strong this season, but away from home they're very flaky. They've lost a lot again. I think Dundee beat them as well up there. And listen, I think they need to sort their away form out. At home they're pretty strong, but I thought I was doing a tough game. Ross County are doing particularly well at the minute. They're picking up points, even if they're just a point here or there. They're crucial points, and they're pulling themselves further and further away from the bottom. So probably a draw by all accounts was a fair result up there. Yeah, I mean, you look at they've had a draw against Rangers. They've drawn against Aberdeen. They were close against Celtic, Ruffy, as well.
Yeah, well, he's identified these contacts down in England. You know, he's brought 3 or 4 players up there at a standard that he knows he's going to get out of these players, and they've certainly not let him down. You know, and as Tam said, if you keep picking up points where everybody else running about, he isn't picking up anything, it's going to make it a lot easier for you. But they're still there or thereabouts. I mean, I know they're on good form, but Dundee and St Johnstone are a couple of wins for dragging them back into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that was last night. What about tonight? It's going to be absolutely bouncing. It'll be a tremendous atmosphere. I just wish there was more Rangers fans there, to be perfectly honest with you. I've said my piece on it. It's no longer what I would call one of the great derbies. I think it's flattened the whole situation of what it was famed for. And I'm talking about the poisoned element I don't like, but it's no longer for me. It's been killed by directors, and killed by directors who, right across the whole of Scottish football, you know, couldn't run a menage. Yeah. An absolute farce.
No, I disagree with you.
Do you? Yeah. Well, you're not. Yeah, I thought you would.
You can see why these people in charge do it. They try to appease their own supporters. We're just going to let you in. We're not going to bother about anybody else. Use are the important people. Use are the ones.
You'd rather have more supporters in your own. If your own supporters are buying the tickets, you'd rather have them than the away support, wouldn't you?
They have to realise that
it's a game. It's a competition.
Two sets.
Football's about two sets.
I
disagree with Peter. I agree with Ruffy as well.
What are you saying, Ruffy?
That was even at a very, very small scale. We played Airdrie and they brought 800, and they were in the opposite stand. And what a spectacle they made of the game, because they were up for supporting their team, and the drum was going and everything, and both sets of fans were having it.
But that's 800 in a capacity of, how many was there? 2,000?
But that's what I'm saying.
800 away supporters.
But that's what I'm saying. Even 800 made it worthwhile. The game. They brought a bit of atmosphere to the actual.
You're happy there's 800 in it yet?
I would No, I'm not saying that. I'd love Airdrie to bring more.
DPG, who's on the message, just says, it's Rangers' fault, just admit it. It's not Rangers' fault, it's his club's fault. They started this stupidity. Him started it.
It was my fault.
It's Leanne Dempster and that whole banning the Hearts fans. And
they're back in now, but
I know they're back in now because they had to do a U-turn. But there's no humility when it comes to, and sensibility when it comes to these two and their tit-for-tat nonsense. No. And that's where we're at with it, Charlie. It's a brilliant game. There's nothing better than seeing 7,000 Rangers fans at Celtic Park and 7,000 Celtic fans at Ibrox. When the opposition score a goal, it's just a magnificent atmosphere. There is actually banter at times, which is good fun. The poisoned element of it for the nutcases who are bigots, we've got no time for them, but as a spectacle, people look in, and it might not be the greatest football at times, but people look in that derby and think, I'll have a bit of that.
Well, I was lucky enough to be part of that when it was, 7,000 in each way, and you go to Celtic Park and, 7,000 Rangers fans there, and you win the game, and it's an amazing atmosphere, and you run at Ibrox and you see, it's so colourful and bright, and yeah, I was used to that atmosphere. I've never been to the game where it's 800, so I don't know how it would be. But it's a shame, and I just hope that one day we can get back to going back to the traditional way, and we'll see where it goes. But it's it's still one of the biggest games in the world.
I can't remember a long time ago. I know it's 50-50 at games and that. Was it ever 50-50 at a league game? I mean, along 70s, 70s. I know that they're 50-50, but never. It was ever in the league in the 70s or whatever. It was never 50-50.
You got an allocation,
but it'd be more than 7,000 surely, way back.
Well, you're talking about Celtic Park at the time. I mean, there was traditionally what you would call the Rangers' End, and that would have been more than 7,000 around that corner. I mean, it was incredible. That might be wrong, but then again, in those days, very rarely did you get a board to announce the correct crowd anyway. But nevertheless, it was still great because you could hear the noise and the songs coming, and obviously some of them were unsavoury, and I accept that for the people who are waiting to be professionally offended. But there were some unsavoury songs, but some great banter, and I loved the atmosphere of them, Charlie. Going there as a boy, I just absolutely, it was buzzing, it was brilliant.
Yeah, and listen, as an away player going to Celtic Park, it was an incredible atmosphere. You knew you were walking off the bus to, boos and things like that. But as an away player, winning there and coming back out, and there's no Celtic fans there to cheer you back on the bus and boo you on the bus was a good sign. But no, listen, it's great to be part of it. I know that some of the players will be disappointed it's only 800, but it'll still be a good game. There's two good sides. Celtic have got a bit of momentum. They're playing well in the last couple of months from the previous Old Firm game, and Rangers have got a new management team in from the previous game as well. So I think it's going to be a cracker and lots of goals, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Celtic, Rogic ruled out, Kyogo Furuhashi ruled out, Ayeti and Turnbull injured, Ideguchi struggling with an ankle problem, Beaton suspended, Rangers Aaron Ramsey too early for him to make an appearance in this, Zukowski not yet available for this one, Morelos in Colombia not been picked for any game, which I think is an absolute disgrace. Helander sidelined, Balogun returns, Hadji's out. So, okay, it's a good game, maybe slightly devalued by the loss of what they both would love to have, top players playing in it, but we're still in for a spectacle. And there's big questions, Tam, which we're going to try and answer, which is Rangers the champions, coming there with a game plan, according to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst.
It's been interesting to see how Rangers approach it. I think that Celtic will just continue the way they play. They'll go in high press, Rangers at the back. I don't think, a lot of people saying I think Celtic will play in the counter-attack. No chance at home. Celtic will get rolled on with 59,500. They'll be going at Rangers early in the game. And I think that will leave gaps inevitably for Rangers to go and exploit. So, been interesting to see. I feel as if Celtic are a very good team for an hour at the minute. 60-65 minutes in the last few games I've seen, they've blew a gasket. So I think if Rangers can see off that initial first 20 minutes waves of attack that Celtic are going to hit them with, and can just get into the second half still in the game, I think the last 20-25 minutes, I think Rangers can go and possibly win the game.
Yeah, talking of that game plan, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst mentioned the game plan that they've got for this one. Old Firm matches are special games. I've been involved as a player and now as a coach. I want to be successful and to get a positive result. Alan McGregor is our number one and has saved us many times. There were no discussions around taking him out of my team. With the quality Celtic have, it's different from most of our games in Scotland, so we have to be well prepared and execute our game plan. And I agree wholeheartedly with Tam. Charlie, I don't know how you feel about it. I think Rangers will be looking to just to soak it up and then wait and pick their moment.
And they've done that every Old Firm, even under Stephen. They've waited, and Celtic need to open up because they're at home, and they will do. And the spaces, like majority Old Firms, are down the side of Starfelt and Carter Vickers. And it's if Rangers have got enough pace in the wide areas, Kent. Be interesting to see who plays on the right for Rangers tonight. But Willie just threw Diallo into the first Old Firm game. I thought he was excellent against Ross County. Shows nice touches, quick. So
I would throw him in, would you?
Oh, absolutely. So you'll put him in there, and Rangers will look to exploit that. It's up to Celtic to now come and win the game. Rangers don't need to go and try and win the game. I think if Rangers get a draw out, they'll be happy. I think Rangers will just edge it 2-1.
Yeah, Charlie, you've gone early. We haven't actually asked anybody for predictions, but I like the way you've gone early. It gives us a chance to get people who will absolutely batter on the feed.
Rangers comfortably 2-1, by the way.
Yeah, over and above that, as far as Rangers' style, I don't think the Celtic manager is going to be too surprised. He doesn't see a great difference between Rangers under Steven Gerrard and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst.
In terms of personnel, they haven't changed obviously too much, but they've certainly become a little bit more solid defensively since Giovanni's taken over. And I guess for him, when you come in mid-season, it's hard to do sort of major changes. I think they were already sort of in decent form and already going well, so you wouldn't expect, like I said, with minimal sort of personnel changes, you wouldn't expect to be anything too drastic.
Yeah, as far as form, I mean, I know there'll be cliches, form goes out the window, you name it. Rangers 3 wins in the last 5, Celtic 5 wins out of 5. At home, Celtic unbeaten in the last 51 midweek league matches, Ruffy. I know you always think there's a little danger of a surprise result coming up on this one. And as far as Rangers overall, Charlie, I think Ange Postecoglou mentioned that they're probably a little bit more solid under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, able to try and keep a clean sheet, albeit they had a scary one against Ross County.
Yeah, it wasn't like them losing 3 goals, but I think if you look at compared to when Stephen was manager, I think Rangers are more of a solid side and like I say, hard to break down. More expansive under Stephen, but both teams have got quality players, and this it could be anything. We'll just hope that. The last time there was a midweek game, 2 managers were fighting, there was sendings off, there was everything. So
there was
a government investigation. So I'm all sure we'll have that tonight.
We're hoping for the same again then.
As a Scottish pundit, we're all hoping it's the same again. It's going to be a classic. And listen, it's good that both teams 2 points in it as well. And listen, Celtic will be thinking if we win this, we go top of the league. A little bit of psychology as well to over Rangers, but no, it's. I'm hoping it's going to be a cracker.
Yeah, by the way, we're not hoping for full-scale fights and government investigations. It's funny, actually, there was a time, Ruffy, and I think it's probably the safety guard that's put up, or a safety net from everybody now. There was a time when you could have a bit of banter and, have a good laugh about a lot of things, but right now, you do have that sense that, there are people who just... with a humour bypass when it comes to it. I love the banter that goes on. I mean, tonight when I go round to Celtic Park, just to build up the fans, the banter used to be absolutely magnificent. Some of it still remains.
Yeah, particularly Rangers Celtic. The 2 occasions I remember were when obviously Rangers got to the final down in Manchester, and there was an Old Firm game. They were obviously rubbing it in to the Celtic supporters who were there, and the banter was good, and they were talking about travelling and all that. And then you get the Celtic one when they were going to Seville, and they've all got sombreros on, and there's beach balls going about. Things like that just make that game, what we all want. And we all want a good game on the park, but the most thing is we don't want any trouble. We don't want any on the park. We want 11 players to stay on the park, make it a game, and with a lot of exciting, incidents in the game, goals. We want goals as well.
And of course, the one good thing about it, Tam, in my research when I was looking through all the things that could potentially be involved with a Celtic Rangers match, new research has meant that this, over the last decade, is the dirtiest derby in the UK. And the reason for that is 12 red cards and a total of 118 yellow cards. 118 yellow cards and 12 red cards. And the good news is both Diouf and Brown are not playing in this match.
Thankfully, Charlie's not playing either. Charlie likes a yellow card.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No, but listen, it's a derby game. You know, listen, last night at the Hibs game, I think there was 3 bookings in the first 10 minutes, you know, for tackles. So you want to try and stamp your authority on the opposition as soon as you can. You want to try and get the upper hand early. And there's going to be tackles flying in tonight in the first 10-15 minutes. If the referee, you know, keeps his cards in his pocket, then fine. But if there's an early booking or two in this game tonight, then you'll possibly see a red card.
Yeah, I don't want to see red cards, Ruffy. I don't want the situation to be that, you know, we have a referee at the centre of it all, you know, and people making excuses for it. You've got a situation here where it's just balanced beautifully. The champions are coming to the East End of Glasgow. They haven't lost a game against Celtic in 7. The last one was the League Cup final. And Celtic have come a long way under Ange Postecoglou. They've got to convince people that they're the real deal for the title, and I think there's a huge psychological battle tonight.
Yeah, possibly, and obviously we have to wait in the team lines coming in. I agree a wee bit with Charlie. We know you've read out the players that Rangers are missing and the players that Celtic are missing. Even still, I think Rangers have got more settled 11 with their players that are missing than Celtic have.
Yeah,
you know, so that's why I think Rangers are a wee bit stronger getting into this game, but it's home advantage, you know, and we all keep talking about Celtic midfield to front, you know, they're electric and they do it at pace. This game's all about, you know, big players turning up on the night and taking your chances when they're there. And I've said goalkeepers. I think 9 times out of 10 goalkeepers win these games.
2 good goalkeepers tonight.
Yeah, I think they win. They make. This is what when you talk about goalkeepers. Goalkeepers make saves left, right, and centre and all that, but it's the one save. It's the save that turns the game, or the save that wins the game. And both of these goalkeepers are capable of doing that.
You know, tonight at one point in this match, Alan McGregor will pull something off special. He's had 2 goals at the weekend that, you know, he'll look at and think that he's disappointed with. There'll be one moment in this game tonight where people will say, that was unbelievable, and that's how the top goalkeepers bounce back from you know, disappointments. I think 2 top goalkeepers tonight, and like you say, they could win you the game. So it's going to be a cracker.
There'll be a slight change from, you know, trying to pick the side is tough enough at the best of times because, as you know, Tom, Celtic Rangers games there's always a wee twist, maybe a surprise here and there from it. Callum McGregor for me would be a huge. It's not so much a gamble, but a huge bonus, I think, to the team if he plays with a mask or whatever. If he plays on that side, Beaton's not there. They've got the likes of Hitati, who's going to have if you thought Tynecastle was a rip-snorting atmosphere, he's in for a rude awakening tonight. So middle to front, good. Lazy, I think some people are a wee bit lazy on Celtic with regards to, you know, how they've been doing lately. The back line is slowly but surely starting to get used to it. Would you play, and here's the question, would you play Ralston right back, Juranovic left back, or would you play Juranovic right back and Taylor, or dare I say it, Scales left back?
I think I'd play Ralston. I think I'd play Ralston right back and Juranovic left back. I think that's what Celtic will play. I think that'll be the back 4 with Starfelt and Cameron Vickers. I think that McGregor will play. You know, I spoke to you. You know, I know he got his mask fixed on Monday, and he trained yesterday. The last 2 days he's trained with a mask on.
Yeah.
So I think if he's trained well, with no kind of issues with that, I think he'd definitely play. I think he'll definitely play tonight.
Yeah. How crucial do you think that is, Ruffy?
It's crucial. It'll be crucial for the supporters. It'll be crucial for the team. He's the captain. You know, he leads by example. Different from Scott Brown, but I'm sure the players all buy into whatever he's telling them. And it's just that on the park, he controls the game. And he's so fit and he's all over the place, you know, that he's the top man for me. You know, he makes Celtic tick.
It's just having his presence there as the captain. The mask won't make a difference.
You ever played with a mask on, Charlie?
I broke my nose twice.
Aye,
I had the surgery and I had to use a mask and I hated it. So I had to take it off.
Were you worried when you were playing?
No, I just got on with it, and if it went again, it went, and that's what Callum will be thinking. He'll be, he'll want to train with it, it'll be all right, but once he might have to take off at some point, and it'll be this. But no, it's good for Celtic's point of view. He's a top player, and it's good to see these are the games you want to see the best players play. And Callum, for me, he's been consistent for Celtic for a number of years, and good for Celtic to have him back. And let's say, obviously Ramsey won't be. I think Van Bronckhorst said he won't be in the squad, which would be a bit of a blow. But it's good to see him, come to Scottish football as well.
Yeah.
You ever wear a mask, Griffey?
I had a blindfold in Argentina.
All right. That's enough. You got any further?
Was that before every free kick?
Zico's free kick.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it was after the game.
I wonder if Steve Bruce wishes he'd wore a mask. He's been, when you think of his nose, and you mentioned your nose, footballers sometimes were tough enough not to wear masks. I remember Gaza wearing a mask when he was playing for Lazio. Didn't make a shred of difference to him. His skill was unbelievable. I'm trying to think of others that have put a mask on it.
Well, there's a few I've seen. Rudiger played with one earlier in the season, didn't he?
Yeah.
Aspilicueta I've seen playing. So I think it's normal, a broken nose or a little bit of a cheek. But I think the thing with Callum's is it's no on his cheeks, high up in the side of his head, isn't it? So can the mask really protect that side of his head? I don't know what Celtic have got. But
it'll be like the Phantom of the Opera coming on.
Maybe wear a helmet like Peter Cech.
Yeah, Peter Cech.
He'll just want to get out there and play because listen, it's a big game, and he want to try and stamp his authority on it.
Charlie, you've already said you thought Rangers would win this one 2-1.
Yeah.
As far as the overall side is concerned, I think Diallo and Kent will offer a real threat for them. Who would you like to see through the middle? Is it Roof or is it an Itten?
No, Roof will play.
Yeah,
I think Roof will play.
Aribo star man for you, the man that can change it.
Magnificent when he on Saturday when he just come back from African nations, and just some of the touches was phenomenal. And let's say you look to your top players, Aribo, Kent, they're the two tonight that I'm looking to see if they can go and make a difference in these games. But settle back for Abassi and Golson, Tavernier and Barisic and McGregor and goals. So it'll be interesting to see if they bring Davis in for Arfield maybe and go a wee bit more defensively. That'll be the choice. Yeah,
I'm just looking here, lots of people, and thank you very much to so many of you who have offered your thoughts on how you think the game is going to go. We will obviously discuss in greater detail tomorrow the Old Firm game, how it all pans out. Charlie thinks 2-1 Rangers. Ruffy, what's your prediction and why?
Yeah, I think Celtic are missing too many high profile players that would be in the 11. So I think the best they can get is a result, one each.
One each. For you, Tam?
I think it'll be one each as well. But 0-0 wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I just think it's a game that neither team... I think both teams would be happy with a draw. I think both teams... I think it's a game where Celtic can't afford to lose. I think if it goes to 5 points, I think Rangers are massive favourites. 2 points, Celtic will still believe that's salvageable. But I think it's a game, if it's one each or 0-0 with 20 minutes to go, I think both teams would kind of mentally settle for that.
Yeah, it's a big one, and when you consider what's at stake, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst in charge for his first Old Firm game as a manager of Rangers. He certainly played in a few when he was a player, and what a great player he was. Ange Postecoglou will be looking at this match and maybe looking and saying, okay, the team has come a long way from that game at Ibrox at the start of the season. What can they do now? Will they set down a marker and get a win against Rangers to take them top of the table? Or, as I feel as well, it's got 1-1 written all over it. Too many players that you would love to see involved in the game, just not there. Maybe by the time we get round to the next match at Ibrox, it will be all guns blazing with all players available, but who knows where the league will take us. We've had all the Premiership fixtures last night, only one remaining now. It's Celtic against Rangers. Who's going to win it? Thanks to each and every one of you. By the way, before we go, Charlie, Ruffy, Tam McManus, Tam Cowan and myself are going to be delving through the clothes in Social Recluse in King Street, and here's a chance for you to find out how you and your pal could join us.
It's no surprise who's gonna be rising. It's
Join us for an evening of football, fashion and music. PLZ Soccer and Social Recluse are teaming up at King Street in Glasgow, and you and your partner could be here joining in the event on Thursday the 10th of February. All you have to do is answer this simple question: in which year was World in Motion a World Cup song? Put your answers down below and you and your partner could be joining us for a special evening with PLZ Soccer and Social Recluse.
Stuff looks nice.
Yeah, stuff looks great. I can see Charlie's hat in the background there that he's getting for the late Christmas party that we're having, Charlie. Anyway, great chance for you. All you have to do is tell us in the feed below, or if you go to the Facebook page, you can see that pinned to the top of PLZ Soccer's Facebook page. Put your answer in and we'll pick out one lucky winner.
Can people still come to it anyway if they want, they want to come along?
No,
it's an exclusive event.
No, we're obviously just teaming up with Social Recluse because they can buy our merchandise in the shop. So we thought we'd do them a wee turn, go and talk football. There's a specially invited guest list for Bob and his Social Recluse team. And we'll get along there, tell a few stories. Charlie, tell a few great football stories.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and for the lucky people out there, hopefully two of our viewers as well, Ruffy, they'll hear some great World Cup stories. You've got a few, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm sure we can.
Ones we've not heard before. Have we heard? Ones we've not heard before.
He's got a couple that he doesn't like
I
to.
don't know which ones would you want, Argentina, Spain, or the Mexico one?
That one,
is that mini?
The one you were talking about, that blindfold that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, if you tell us that story,
that.
that sounds like a story. And of course, Tam, the great thing about it from your own point of view, you'll be able to fire in a few stories with great players that you played with as well.
Yes, I'll be able to speak about a wee bit about my career and a wee bit about the amount of relegations and clubs that went bust.
Yeah, absolutely. You played with, I was actually setting you up for a nice finish there about the good players.
I'd rather get slaughtered.
Yeah,
I don't like compliments.
Don't worry, but you will get battered
We're
on the
only there
night.
at 10 o'clock, we can't be there all night talking about the teams you played for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a wee bit of sense around it as well. Well, Tam Cowan will be there.
Well, we're ready at midnight.
Make sure he brings his food that every week he's got something different in it.
Have you ever seen an Instagram like it, by the way? He's managed to eat every food that's available. Anyway, apart from anything else, hopefully you and your pal will be there to join us. But if you're going to the game tonight, if you're lucky enough to have a ticket for it, go there, watch it, support your team, and try and support them in the right way. And of course, get home safely as well. That's what it's all about. It's only a game of football. It's not life and death. We want you to enjoy the game, and hopefully we'll be talking about all the positive things on tomorrow's programme. Please, if you get a chance, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll get all the notifications. And if you really want all the latest breaking sports news regarding football in the UK, Europe and world football, download the PLZ Soccer app and you get all the breaking news. And if you miss the programme, you can either listen to it in the podcast on the app or indeed watch the show as well. Simple as that. Can't say any better than that. Thanks to Ruffy, thanks to Charlie and Tam McManus, and from myself, Peter Martin, thanks to you for watching.